All right, welcome everyone. Thank you very much for joining to our today's webinar titled Scaled Agile Framework 4.0, Implementing Enterprise Agile Using Scaled Agile Framework. My name is Mylan Liu, and I will be the host of this webinar today, all along with Mr. Michael Stump, who is the Managing Director and an EMEA Scale Expert at the Scaled Agile Inc. So welcome, Mr. Stump. Before we actually jump to the presentation, let's have a look at the agenda for today. In this webinar, we'll be discussing how to actually scale Agile across large enterprises and why this is important. Mr. Michael Stump is going then to talk a little bit about the Scaled Agile framework in general, and what exactly the differences between the Scaled Agile Framework 3.0 and Scaled Agile Framework 4.0 are exactly. And after that, we will be highlighting how to implement the Scaled Agile Framework by choosing the right tool which supports you best, such as, for example, Codebeamer Application Lifecycle Management, which offers you a great variety of functionality and features by providing full end-to-end traceability at the same time. And last but not least, I'm going to show you a safe configuration model of our pre-configured template for each safe 3.0 and 4.0, and we'll directly jump into the Codebeamer demonstration. After the live demonstration, where we'll show you how we actually implemented the Scaled Agile framework in Codebeamer, we will start the Q&A session. And in case you have any questions at any point of the webinar, please feel free to use the integrated question area of your GoToMeeting dashboard in order to aim a question either to me or to Michael Stump from Scaled Agile Inc. directly. And of course, we will do our best to answer them all in the end of this webinar. In addition to that, a recording of today's webinar will be available on our website soon after the webinar. And once you're visiting our webpage, please make also sure that you browse around through our upcoming webinars as well. So in this case, I will switch over to Mr. Michael Stump. And he will, as I mentioned before, will talk a little bit about the Scaled Agile framework in general, and he will highlight the differences between Scaled Agile Framework 3.0 and 4.0. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Milan. Thank you very much for the introduction and for the invite to be able to share a little bit about the Scaled Agile framework with you and with your audience. And we really appreciate Intland to be one of our partners, because we need partners who provide some tooling to support and help transformation and especially automation when implementing the Scaled Agile framework. So I'm sure a lot of you want to really see what the tool is doing, but I want to give you a little bit of background and also why we are here, some of the challenges we face and we see a lot when we are working with customers. And to make the session a little bit interactive, maybe you can post some of your challenges in the chat area so I can see and maybe target the content a little bit into your direction or the challenges you're facing. So when you look at the slide, when we do retrospective items, in almost all of the organization, we see similar challenges. Not enough visibility, late delivery, problems discovered too late, massive growing complexity, hard to manage distributed teams. I'm sure some of you have that as well. And please feel free to add what speaks to you into the chat form so we can see what are the challenges you are facing. So dependencies is typically a problem we see a lot. And all of that, also late delivery, visibility, communication can lead to poor morale, which then has an impact to the productivity and quality and the customer happiness of your solution and your product. So these were basically challenges we face, and organizations who have that work with the Scaled Agile framework. Maybe some of you already know or have seen it. There are a lot of lean agile values and principles which are behind the framework, and especially in our trainings we talk about them. because when you implement the framework, when you apply it to your organization, it's absolutely critical for long-term success to also understand the why behind the values and principles, because sometimes you will make adaptations, customizations. And if you understand the values and principles behind, you can do that the right way for a successful future. So on the left side here, you see the house of lean, and the main goal is really the value here. We want to create more value for the organization and for the customer. The goal is not to implement SAFe or an agile framework. It's really SAFe and Agile is a tool, same as Codebeamer. It will help us to deliver more value to the customer, and that's our main goal. And at the bottom we have leadership, because we need to involve and train leadership for a successful transformation. In all the cases I've seen, if leadership is not on board, it's very, very hard to have a successful transformation. So we need to get them on board. On the right side, you see the Agile Manifesto, individuals in interaction over processes and tools. And over does not mean instead of. Of course, we focus on individuals and interaction, but we need some processes and tools as well as Codebeamer, because there's a lot of automation. We can get a lot of data and support by these tools, but it should not influence individuals and interactions. So I will not go into more details. Also, we have SAFe Lean Agile principles, 9 of them. We'll not cover all of them. One is take an economic view. At the end, we want to create value, right? So what can we do to do that? Have a decision-making framework in place. So for example, number 9, the last one, decentralized decision-making. It's a scary point, but actually it's not. I've just been in Munich to do an SBC class last week, and we had great discussions how you can make or prepare a decision-making framework that all the people in the organization understand what we want to achieve and make also decentralized decisions in the right direction. So all these principles and values, what you see here, basically everything what you find in SAFe, in the Scaled Agile Framework, we can link that back to one of these principles. And that's an exercise we sometimes do during the class, which is very fascinating. And understanding them will help you to make the right decisions when implementing the framework. So that's a little bit the why, the challenges behind the framework. And the framework itself, it's basically a website. Hopefully you've already seen it. www.scaledagileFramework.com. It's a website which provides a lot of proven patterns and practices from organizations who implemented Lean Agile at scale. So it's really a knowledge base which is available for you as free. So you can click on all the icons, read more, and experience what is happening behind that. So that's the framework, and that's SAFe version 4.0, and that's the 3-level version of it. When you go to the website, this is what you see. We see a team level at the bottom, because everything is based around agile teams. They can be run Scrum or Kanban, but it's basically a short or a small group of people who can create value fast. But the challenge is, and that's when we move up to the program level, what do we do if we have more people working together? If we have 5, 6, 7 teams, 50 or more people working together on the same solution, we need to have some more guidance to get alignment and to synchronize the teams for maximal value delivery. So that's the second level. That's the heartbeat. We'll talk about that on the next slide as well. That's really the heartbeat, the Agile Release Train, which is a team of agile teams working on the same solution. Going to the third level, that's the portfolio level. If you have several Agile Release Trains in place, you may want to have some portfolio management elements included. We talk about budgeting, but the key point, which we always think of, how do we organize around value? What are the value streams? How is value flowing in our organization? And that's a kind of the baseline for successful implementation, to have a solid understanding what are our objectives and what are our value streams, which we need for implementation afterwards. So I talked about the heart of SAFe, and that's really the program level, the Agile Release Train, team of agile teams. typically 5 to 12 teams working together on the same solution. If I have one team which can work on a product or a system without dependencies on another team, I don't need SAFe. Scrum is a perfect tool to do that. But if several teams are working together, then I can get huge benefits in using proven practices in the framework. So we typically have 10 weeks cadence on the program level, 50 to 125 people working together. And there's a centralized backlog. We have architectural guidance and vision in place that we can really get the alignment and maximize our power when delivering our solution. So the heartbeat is really the PI planning. That's a very fascinating event. If you never had the chance to attend the PI planning, I would highly recommend that. It's the whole train, the art, working together and creating a plan for the next 8 to 12 weeks, typically 10 weeks, to provide a solid plan which business and management can rely on what is delivered. So that's really the heartbeat. We get a lot of questions, what's the difference of SAFe 3 and SAFe 4.0? So just let me give you a little bit of history here. So you see in 2011, we had the first version of SAFe. The main goal there was really how can several teams work together. The program level was in focus. Portfolio was there, but not a lot of details because not a lot of organizations have used it. The upgrade to, or the next version, 2.0, focused more on the program level, new practices, more details, and a little bit more details also on the portfolio. But really in version 3, when we've seen that more and more organizations are using the framework, have several Agile Release Trains in place, that's when we had much more detailed on the portfolio level. And what we've seen then is that organizations use SAFe, or it was originally designed for software development, but we have seen system builders start using it for hardware, to build complete systems, hardware and software. And we worked on a branch which was called LSE, SAFe for Lean Systems Engineering. We do a lot of inspect and adapt in our organization, and after the first trainings of LSE, we got the feedback, it doesn't make sense to have two parallel frameworks, one for software and one for systems engineering. So we made some tests, and the main feedback was really to include everything into SAFe version 4.0. And that was launched at the beginning of this year. So what's the difference? Basically, SAFe 4 is backwards compatible to version 3.0. All features which you found in 3.0 are also in 4. It's a little bit different rendering. There are Kanban teams visible on there. You see the solution on the customer more prominent on version 4. But basically everything is backwards compatible. And also, when you go to the framework site, you can still find the old version, version 3.0, on the framework, and it will be available and supported until the end of 2016. So 3-level SAFe, what you see here, it's very similar. The big difference is when you are on the framework website, you can click on that expand button on the right side, and you get a complete additional level. This level is called the value stream level. The goal of this level is to help organizations where they have thousands of people working together on the same solution, that they can be aligned, synchronized, build the largest, most critical systems, have an economic decision framework in place, how to integrate the customer, how to work with the requirements on that level. So value stream level really for really large systems where thousands of people are working together. How can we get cadence and synchronization up there? That's the main difference of the framework. And this is really optional because at the end, this gives us a lot of modularity and flexibility. There are some organizations where 3-level SAFe is totally fine. We are just working on a spike which is called essential SAFe. It's basically level team and level program, and just a little bit on the value stream or on the portfolio level to understand value streams. It's basically 2-level SAFe. You find that on a blog post on our framework. So some organizations need 4-level safe if they build really big systems. And the last one on this slide is basically multi-level, multiple safe portfolios. The largest organizations in the world, they have a portfolio of safe portfolios with large value streams. So it really gives you the flexibility to adapt it the right way to fit your organizations with understanding the principles behind. So we talked a little bit about the why, the what, the framework itself, and now how to use it, how to do the implementation. And the key point here is how to lead the implementation. Implementing safe 1 to 3 is a pattern we've seen and which is proven. Basically train the lean agile change agents. That's number one. Oftentimes that's internal and external. And then we need to identify our value streams and identify all stakeholders which are related to that value stream and to the first agile release train. They need to be trained. If people are not trained, there is some fear, they don't understand what's necessary, and I've not seen successful transformation without having the people trained. So that's number 2. Train leaders, the leaders, executive managers of that agile release train. And the third one is then launch an agile release train, and there are proven patterns which then lead to successful results. You see, oftentimes the main ask is how can we reduce time to market. Quality is one as well. Productivity is sometimes hard to measure, but also engagement, which can be a proxy for productivity, because if people are motivated, if they are engaged, they typically deliver more, they deliver better quality. And all these results are not coming from us. You can find them on scaledagileFramework.com case studies. You find a lot of organizations who have shared their stories. We just got a new one from Cisco, HP, and TomTom, for example. You can go to the website and read about the challenges they had and the results they have achieved in implementing the framework. So it's really about gaining the knowledge, because you can see the framework, but typically you need training as well. And then in addition, when you do a transformation, you need support, tooling support to automate, to support the whole process. And I'm very interested to learn more how Codebeamer can support us here. Handing back over to Mailan.
All right, thank you so much, Michael. All right, so let me quickly change the presenter. Please let me know if you can see my screen. All right, as Michael mentioned before, actually Codebeamer is the perfect tool to support you to manage the Scaled Agile Framework. So moving on, maybe just a few words about our company first. We will show you actually how we can support you. Endless Software is basically the developer and the sole vendors of the holistic Codebeamer application lifecycle management platform. And Codebeamer is a fully integrated and holistic application lifecycle management solution, which builds on a single repository, including 5 components or modules, such as the requirements management. You can do software and hardware development in Codebeamer, continuous integration, Q&A test management in Codebeamer, also demand management, and IT operation, also known as DevOps. So as I've mentioned before, pretty much you have all the modules and features required that can greatly support you to manage the Scaled Agile Framework, even the whether it's the Scaled Agile Framework 3.0 or 4.0. As Michael mentioned before, it really depends on what kind of solution you're building. So it's not even necessary to distinguish between small and very large enterprises. Besides that, I would like to talk a little bit, as I had one question, how to actually manage or use Scaled Agile Framework in industries and regulatory and industries solutions. So basically, industry solutions and regulatories, let's say many of our customers have to comply with standards, industry solutions, and regulatories. And On that background, we successfully implemented the Scaled Agile Framework in the medical and also automotive industries. In the medical industries, such for example, Medtronic, Codebeamer helped to comply with the IEC 62304, with the FDA Title 21 CFR Part 11, also with the ISO 14971, with the IEC 6061, and also more standards, by even reducing the development time and costs at the same time. On the other hand, in the automotive industry, we have the major processes which can be enforced to be used in order to achieve the compliance with the ISO 26262, for example, the IEC 61508, and also the automotive SPICE, CMMI, and even more standards. So pretty much with Codebeamer ALM, the collaborative medical requirements management, the software development, the quality assurance, and the testing can be done. We greatly support automated workflows with proven and also compliant medical processes. And as Michael mentioned before, one of the challenges is really that in the companies right now, there's too less visibility, too less communication, and actually Codebeamer can greatly support you to get more traceability, to enhance the communication, internal, even external, to your customers and suppliers. We also provide integration with third-party tools out of the box, like Word, Excel, RecIF, for example, from Doors, from Jira, via Codebeamer's huge REST API. And at the same time, as I mentioned before, you can achieve great traceability, or let's say end-to-end traceability throughout the entire lifecycle with Codebeamer. And Codebeamer comes with a very powerful workflow engine, also for FDA compliant approvals with risk management, FMEA, to achieve the ISO 14971 compliance. We have artifact history that can be easily managed, as well as for audit preparation, we have the baselining and also the reporting. And also Codebeamer ALM supports as well on the other side for collaborative automotive, such as hardware and software development, the requirements and development management as well. And to mention some more of the box integration to Codebeamer, which are basically pretty necessary in the automotive industry, such as, for example, once again, RecIF from Doors. We have an integration to Enterprise Architect, to MATLAB Simulink, and also to Word and Excel on that. And in order to achieve the ISO 26262 compliance, the process visibility, the process workflow comes also with major processes. And once again, gapless end-to-end traceability with various and several security features can be ensured in Codebeamer. Also, approval workflow, risk management, FMEA, quality assurance, testing, validation, audit preparation, wiki and document management can be greatly managed in Codebeamer as well. And our mission, basically, where we see to help our clients, is really to if you use Codebeamer, actually, you can pretty much manage and develop, elaborate, complex and safety critical products. So pretty much we created Codebeamer to manage the ever-increasing complexity, not only in software, but also in hardware development in just one single solution, by providing, once again, the full traceability and transparency, and supporting the communication. Codebeamer supports for Agile and Scaled Agile development via the Scaled Agile Framework, and a very high level of effectiveness by doing the right things. They can be greatly managed within our demand and requirements management capabilities, for example, in Codebeamer. And Codebeamer supports a robust yet very highly flexible architecture. So, for example, you can use a V model, the waterfall, even Agile, Scrum, or also lean methods to achieve a very high efficiency by doing the things right. And we are even more agile than legacy ALM suits, and even more integrated than a mix of a single point software solution. And on the other hand, we support DevOps, and you can manage agile releases as well. So maybe just a few words so you can get to know us a little better. So who are we actually? Inland Software was founded in 1998. We have our headquarters in Stuttgart in Germany. And one of our greatest customer and also hosting partners is Lufthansa Industry Solutions. And we have an office in Silicon Valley in the USA and also resellers in the UK, China, Korea, Taiwan, France, and Italy on that. Today I brought a list of our customers as well, so you can see that we have various clients from diverse industries and also in regulated industries and sections, such as in the automotive, in the high-tech defense, in the finance, and also in the medical, and as you can see on the other industries as well. We have companies, or let's say clients, in the ranking of mid-size, also to large global enterprises, for example, Siemens, Daimler, or Medtronic. So just to highlight, for example, Medtronic. Medtronic is a medical product development for safety critical products in the medical area, and they're actually using the Scaled Agile framework for. And also, one of our clients in the automotive area are also using Scaled Agile framework to develop their safety critical products in order to be able to scale agile and many teams along large enterprises for a common release as well. So as I've mentioned before, Medtronic is pretty much using the Scaled Agile framework to develop their safety critical products. So for example, for neurostimulation against amnesia. And previously they had like several tools to such as Jira, version 1, PTC Integrity, SharePoint, IBM, Rational Recursive Pro, ClearCase, GitHub, and several ingrown tools, not to mention here. They were all used at the same time at Medtronic's neuromodulation department. And they pretty much had the difficulty of the traceability, of transparency, of the version control, of the baselining, to comply with the audits, for collaboration. They had limited agility, and this is the reason why they actually decided to go with Codebeamer by last year. And today I brought a quote from the director of the patient care or software of the Medtronic's neuromodulation, from Sarb Singh Kaur, which you can find in Inland's Medtronic case study as well. So just to highlight this quote from Mr. Singh, we needed a sophisticated tool that gave us the flexibility to model, to manage the relationships that exist between customer needs, product requirements, product design, tests, source code, verification, and validation efforts. Codebeamer ALM was the only tool that allowed us to do that in a very smooth way. Another quote from Mr. Sabsin Kaur is that Codebeamer's ALM capability gave us the best of both worlds: ALM plus Agile, DevOps, relational API access, and the ability to visualize all our artifacts. All right, so let's jump a little bit more about today's topic, which is the Scaled Agile Framework. So according to Mr. Michael Stump's slides on page 14, Scaled Agile Framework 3.0 is greater for smaller businesses who needs to develop this, let's say, smaller solutions. And this BPMN process, it gives you an overview and also configuration example of the Scaled Agile Framework 3.0, which is in one of our templates, and that has been already implemented in Codebeamer. And the Save 3.0 and Save 4.0 templates, which are coming from us, they have pre-configured roles already. They have pre-configured permissions, artifacts, and even different save levels with predefined connections, which can reduce a lot of risk, let's say, when you need to implement save in your company. And you can greatly benefit from our pre-configured and generic templates, even to save a lot of effort. You can reduce much time for let's say, training, for example, until the adaptation on the other hand. And our pre-configured Save 3.0 and Save 4.0 templates can be used immediately after you download Codebeamer on our website. whether you have small business or large business with multiple portfolios, for example. And on that, if you have interest to get more information about the Scaled Agile Framework 3.0, which has been implemented in Codebeamer ALM, please feel free to check one of our webinar recording called Implementing the Scaled Agile Framework on our website, or you can directly contact our sales department to get started with the pre-configured SAFe 3.0 template. So let's have a look a little bit more into SAFe 4.0 as it is today's topic. So here we see the 4 levels of SAFe: the portfolio, the value stream level, the program level, and the team level. Pretty much each SAFe portfolio contains a set of value streams, and the value stream, as Michael Stump has mentioned before, is intended for builders of large complex solutions, which typically require multiple Agile Release Trains, as well as contribution of suppliers. And the connection between the enterprise business strategy and portfolio is through the strategic themes. Then you have the epics, which are progressively analyzed and then move through the Kanban board to determine the most important initiatives to do at that certain point of time. And you can do the prioritizing functionality by the program portfolio management at portfolio level. On the value stream level, you do the prioritization for the solution management. The product management is doing the prioritization at the program level. And on the team level, the product owner is responsible for that. All right. And this is pretty much the sequencing of the epics, capabilities, and the features. And as I mentioned before, this is driven by a lean approach, which is called the weighted shortest job first, also known as WSJF. And this looks at the cost of the delaying of one item in order to do the other. So basically, it looks at both the cost of delay, the efforts to complete it, and the work items that go through the Kanban board at each level through the WSJF prioritization is the next most important to do in the portfolio backlog. And in our pre-configured template, we have configured the WSJF, and Codebeamer provides the full traceability on the other hand. So, for example, from the strategic themes to the epics to the capabilities in the value stream level to the features on the program level, and then even down to the team level. You can even drive down to the source code if you're actually developing source code or, let's say, software. And as I've mentioned before, this is the lean approach Kanban workflow. So on the left-hand side, you can see the description, how the Kanban workflow should go, actually. And this is just described from Scaled Agile Framework. And on the other hand, or on the other side, you can see how we did implement and build up this process within Codebeamer's powerful workflow engine. So, for example, you have the funnel, you do the review, the analysis, and once it goes to implementation, it goes to the backlog and the status implementation, and then it's done. So pretty much you can see the implementation on that. So for our pre-configured SAFe 4.0 template, I brought a BPMN process as well, and this configuration example describes, as you can see, 4 level as well. So we have the portfolio level, we have the value stream level, the program level, and the team level. And on the portfolio level, you can collect the strategic themes. So they are linked to the financial perspective and they have an impact on the epics. So pretty much we start the prioritization in the portfolio Kanban using the WSJF. And Codebeamer will then automatically calculate this value, the cost of delay, by putting in some values, which are, for example, the user business value plus time critically plus risk reduction opportunity enable value divided by the job size. And once you have the highest value out of that, you start implementing the epics. So you can start to break down the epics into the capabilities. So you can derive the capabilities right away from the epics into the value stream level. And once they are broken down, into the capabilities. They also go through the funnel. And then once the capabilities are accepted, you can derive the features out of the capabilities. And the features are, again, on the program level, they are broken down or derived into the user stories on team level. And the program and team level make up long-lived and self-organizing organization, also known as the Agile Release Train. And actually, as Michael mentioned before, there's no art without teams. So safe teams, they are an integral part of the Agile Release Train, and they're responsible for delivering the art value. And the advantage on here is that safe teams can manage their own parts. They're not alone unit. They can collaborate with other teams. They can work together across projects and ensure the continuous delivery. And once they have implemented the user stories, the art is actually there to plan, to execute together, and you can see on the team releases that they are actually connected to the Agile Release Train on the program level. And it is to interconnect the value stream on the value stream level, and the value streams are once again connected to the portfolio value streams. So basically, there's a bidirectional line of work for a common release objective, creating bidirectional traceability on that. All right, so pretty much, I would like to jump into the live demonstration. But before we do that, I have some more or a few simple questions that I would like to ask you. The first question is, all right, let me launch the poll. You should see the first question, which is, what software development methodology are you currently using? Are you using like Agile? Are you using Scrum, Waterfall, or even hybrid method of those? So thanks for your answers. The questions will just take a few minutes. So once again, thanks for answering those. All right, so you can see most of you are using hybrid. Thank you so much. So there's the next question. Which tools are you currently using? Are you using MS Office, IBM, like Jira, HP tools, or even other tools that we didn't mention here? All right, thank you so much for your answers. All right, last but not least, I have one more question. Are you actually searching a tool to manage just requirements, testing, the entire ALM, agile projects, or in that topic like multiple agile projects? All right, thank you so much for your answers. So I will close the poll. And then on that, I will directly change into the live demonstration of the Scaled Agile Framework. So as you can see here, we are directly in Codebeamer. So this is a fully web-based ALM tool. And pretty much, as I've mentioned before, now you can just see our Safe 4.0 pre-configured templates. And each of these levels, you can see the portfolio level, the value stream level, the program level, and the team level. Each of them, or each of the levels, is a project, is a separate project for each level. So let me just display the Scaled Agile Framework 3.0. So as I mentioned before, this is a three-level safe. And of course, on a team level, you can have multiple team projects. And the advantage is that they can organize themselves. They can have their own Kanban board. They can have the communication. They can even communicate even across projects, working either with Lean, either with Scrum, and even other methodologies as well. But if you're interested in getting more information about SAFe 3.0, please feel free to contact us directly or to check out our brochures and templates for SAFe 3.0. All right, so let me introduce you and show you a little bit our pre-configured SAFe 4.0 template. So let's start with the portfolio level. So let me click into that project basically. And in the trackers, we have the pre-configured artifacts like strategic themes, the epics, the portfolio value stream. Let me show you a little bit about roles. As I mentioned before, we also have pre-configured roles for security options like the enterprise architect, the program portfolio management in the portfolio level, and then pretty much in the strategic themes, you can start collecting all strategic themes which are necessary for your company and also for evolving the business strategy. And you can pretty much start like collecting the strategic themes. So you can see here we have 2 strategic themes. For example, the product development leadership. On the right-hand side, you can see some properties in our pre-configured and generic templates, such as you can add the portfolio vision, what's the vision, and what's the strategic objectives, and what is the allocated budget. And pretty much, as I've mentioned before, you can start collecting the strategic themes. So for example, let's call it so for example, enhance the product quality in 2018. And then you can also add, let's say, some description for that. So you can save the strategic themes. And on that, I can even add like some properties. So what would be my portfolio vision? What's the objective? What's the budget? And pretty much I can now type in my allocated budget, which is like 5 million. And then I can save my estimation. And the advantage, as I mentioned in Codebeamer, is that once we go into the details of this artifact, or let's say the strategic themes, you can see amongst the history that Codebeamer is versioning everything. So according to the who, when, what approach, you will get the necessary information for audit and for regulatory compliance at, let's say, automatically. So you don't have to even prepare manually for all the information, as Codebeamer will version all the changes automatically. All right. So from the strategic themes, you can see now we still are on the portfolio level. You can have the impact and start to split the strategic themes into epics, and therefore you can directly start splitting epics from the strategic themes, where you can see this overlay right now. So actually, let me maybe name my epic. So it's just my epic. And once again, you can see the pre-configured properties for the epic, such as what's the epic type. So this would be a business epic. You can add the value, the time critically. You can add sponsors, the start date, the milestones, checkpoints. So there are several information that you can actually put in here. Another thing is that once we derive or let's say once we split the epic from the strategic themes, you can see the link back here to the strategic theme. All right, so let's split the epic from the strategic themes, and you can see that now we display the connection. So there's actually the link established automatically by Codebeamer. So from this strategic themes, we just split the epic. So let's jump into this epic. And you can see, as of now, we are actually in the tracker epics. And basically, you can now start, let's say here, there's also a link to the strategic themes. We also display the link here in the relation. So on that, you have the traceability. So let's go into the folder for my epics, and basically you can start using demand management capabilities in Codebeamer. So this is the place where actually business analysts start the voting, the rating on each epic. So for example, here's the epic that I just split it from the strategic themes. You can use demand management capabilities as I mentioned before. So for example, a business analyst can give a rate like 5 stars, and then we should follow this epic. And then you can pretty much rate on each epic one by one. And you can see the average rating. This is calculated automatically by Codebeamer as well. So let me go into detail of this epic. And once again, you can see amongst the history that even comments are, let's say, in ratings, they are versioned in the history, artifact history as well. And pretty much, this was the rating. You can also use drag and drop functionality to rearrange the order of the epic. So for example, if I would like to highlight this epic as most important one, I can just simply drag it onto the top. And then pretty much we can start the Kanban workflow. So let me show you how the Kanban workflow looks like for my epic. So amongst the state transitions, this is what I've mentioned before. Codebeamer has a very powerful workflow engine that can automate the processes. You can enforce processes. The processes can communicate with each other, and with this powerful workflow engine, you can save a lot of time and also a lot of risk by reducing manual failure. And this is the workflow behind the epic. So you can go from, once you collect the epic, it goes to the status funnel. You can start a review. And then if you are actually changing the status from funnel in the review, then you can start to evaluate the cost of the delay. So let me show you. So let me go back. I will change the status. So once the business analyst had voted and rating on each epic, we can change the status from funnel to review directly here. Or we can use Codebeamer's integrated Kanban board to go through the Kanban workflow. So pretty much I can start to drag this item into the review, and it changes the status accordingly as well. And then we can start evaluating the cost of delay. And as I mentioned before, this value will be calculated by Codebeamer automatically according to this value, plus the time critically, plus the risk reduction opportunity enable value divided by the job size. So let's start to evaluate on the cost of delay. So for example, if I put in here like the business value is number 2, time critically, for example, number 2, this is also a 2, a job size is, for example, a 1, then the WSJF will be calculated automatically. This is what I've mentioned before. And in Codebeamer, if I go back into my epics folders, you can apply, let's say, custom views or custom filters. So in order to get to all the necessary information at once. And in this, there's a sorting for VSWJF. And once I scroll down a little bit, you can see that now we have three epics with the values, whereas just the business epic number 1 and the annular epic number 2, they have the highest, let's say, the highest value. And these are basically the most important to do next. And pretty much let's just assume that this epic has been evaluated with a higher cost of delay. You can actually go back to the Kanban board, and then you can go through the whole process. So for example, you can start the analysis, then you can start to put it into the backlog. You can see that the status changes automatically as well. And then once you go into implementation, you start splitting the epics from the portfolio level into the value stream level for capabilities. And for that, so let me just show you. As of now, the epics are in the right status. I can directly let's say derive or split these epics into capabilities into the second level, which is the value stream level. And Codebeamer once again will link automatically to your epic. And then this is basically a capability. Let's call it capability 3. And once again, you can see pre-configured properties like the phrase, what's the business benefit, and what's the acceptance criteria. And pretty much once we split the capability from the epic, you can see the link either here in this field property, or you can open up the relations to see the graphical visualization on that. Another thing is that we have on the program level, so let me go back into the program level. There is here, we are on the top level again. There is the portfolio value stream. So actually all the epics that are ready for implementation, yeah, you can pretty much start to monitor the value through the portfolio value stream. And this is actually a link back and forth. So pretty much from the portfolio level, I can now drive down, or let's check out the value stream on the value stream level. And you can see actually that the value stream level is currently for the capability number 2. And pretty much you can see also on the value stream level for which solution we're actually implementing this one. So pretty much if we are in the capabilities, let's go back to the value stream capabilities. You can once again start, let's say this is the responsibility of the solution manager. So he would start the value stream Kanban workflow once again, just by drag and dropping. And then all the capabilities that are ready or going through the funnel, you can derive the features as well. And let me go back into the value stream. So pretty much, let's assume we have capability number 3, and we would like to put it into the value stream. We can just simply fill in this field, and then we just assign this capability into the right value in order to be able to monitor the progress. So you can see what's actually the progress in here. And as I've mentioned before, from the capability, actually, you can now start to drive down the responsibilities. So from the capabilities, you can drive down the feature. This is what I've prepared already. So for example, you can see that there's already a link from the capability to the features on the program level. And if I click on that, you can see that now we are actually in the most, let's say, most important level. So this is the feature. As you can see, we can jump back and forth. We can provide full traceability, and the feature is actually, let's see, in the Agile Release Train. So you can see even multiple Agile Release Train, which are, let's say, coming to the same value stream. And in this Agile Release Train, we can see which feature we are actually implementing. So you can even drive down here to the other levels. So you can see the full traceability here as well. But there's a feature number 1, for example, and you can see directly in here that there is a team release. So this is a software team Scrum release, which is coming actually from the team level, and this is interconnected with the Agile Release Train on the program level. So pretty much if I click on that, you can see that we just drive down into the team level. So pretty much once again from the feature you can derive the user stories on the team level, and on the team level the teams can basically start to implement the user stories by defining the task, and then the team they're self-organizing, so pretty much they can start like planning the releases, or let's say the product owner and the Scrum Master would do that. So from a product backlog, they start planning. So for example, if there's a user story which has gone through the Kanban workflow, so at that point, the team level, of course, they have a known Kanban board as well. They can start, let's say, planning their sprints by just using drag and drop functionality as well. And as you might notice, also the team level would have a burn down chart. And this will be calculated by Codebeamer automatically as well. And team can also move, let's say, bottom up, so they can see for which Agile Release Train they're actually implementing for. So once again, we're back in the program team level, and the Agile Release Train, they're aggregating the progress from all the teams with the common release. And therefore, if you're doing the PI planning and if you're starting to implement the features, you can use the so-called show art progress button, which is a, let's say, interval calculation where you can manage the progress and the feedback which is coming from all the team levels. So you can see pretty much that mostly my team has, or the teams has just like finished 3% of all the objectives. All right. Another thing is also that with Codebeamer, we support the built-in quality, which is also a core value in Scaled Agile Framework. And this can be reached with Codebeamer, since Codebeamer supports development processes to even down to source code level. We support, let's say, different repositories like Git, Subversion, Mercurial, CVS, also with code review possibilities. So for example, I could even drive down to the source code, and you can see directly in here what has been implemented on that. So let me just open this up. So you can see which source code has been implemented, what has changed, marked in red, what was added, marked in green. And we also supported test management, so you would have the test coverage browser to see what has been covered already with tests. If yes, with how many test cases, and if the test has been run, what's the test coverage? And you can see basically what has been run already successfully, what has been failed, what has been blocked. And pretty much there's also a test coverage statistics, so you can get an overview statistics for all your user stories, tasks, and on all the artifacts that you have actually to test. You can get a management overview, and the coverage browser can also be exported to Office, either to Excel or to Word, and pretty much it gives you a pretty nice format where you can store all relevant information for audit purposes, for example. You can get the coverage browser directly within few clicks, and also this is statistics on that. Another thing is also we have integration, or let's say continuous integration via Jenkins integration for automated testing and also for code coverage. Another great features in Codebeamer is also that you can actually track all the dependencies to get the full traceability. And therefore, let me maybe go back into the portfolio level to show you the so-called traceability browser, where you're able to set up any kind of dependencies for tracker or your types in your desired order. So for example, if you would like to start from strategic themes, I can start showing the dependencies from the strategic themes to another level, which is the epics. And then you can really start, let's say, chasing or showing the dependencies even across projects. And then once you did it, you can save the settings. And this is what I already prepared. So for example, if I would like to see the traceability, this is what I saved previously. I traced the traceability, strategic themes to epics, then even down to the second level, which is value stream, to the features on the program level, and then on the team, even to user stories tests, and I can even do that on the source code level. So let me just load the preset and show you how the traceability looks like. So you can see which strategic themes are actually implemented by which team on the team level, and actually by which task, and even down to resource scale. And another thing is also, if you would like to highlight the value streams a little bit more, you can even trace the values. So for example, starting from strategic themes to epics to the value stream on the portfolio level, then to the value streams on the value stream level, to the program level, and then even down to the team releases. You can even see how many, so how actually the value streams looks like for your specific strategic themes, or let's say for your epic. All right. So pretty much this was the live demonstration. So if you would like to find more information about Codebeamer ALM, please feel free to visit us at intland.com to download a trial of Codebeamer version. So you can start immediately with the save templates. You can try out the save template. Another thing is also we have pre-configured and generic automotive and medical templates for achieving the compliances. And you can learn more about our features and the benefits of using Codebeamer ALM for save in our save brochure, for example. You can also simply get in touch with our sales department to get more information about how Codebeamer ALM can support save. And in addition to that, you can find and download also our mechatronic case study on intland.com as well. And alternatively, all your questions can be also answered by one of our consultants during a live meeting or a live demonstration for free of charge. All right, so thank you very much for your attention for today. Before we actually jump into the Q&A session, I have one more question that I would like to ask you, which is, would you like to receive further information about Codebeamer ALM? All right, thank you very much. All right, so let's have a look at the questions. So there's a question, please provide detailed information about your automotive references. So I'm afraid that I can't name them because of non-disclosure information. But if we can schedule a live meeting or live demonstration, and we can greatly grant you this information. So there's another question. Could you show the hierarchical release trains? All right, so let me go back into Codebeamer, so I can show you how this is built. So, for example, you can use once again this the traceability browser to see the release trains, either on, let's say, you can see first the value stream on a portfolio level, how many value streams are actually implemented on this, and then how many Agile Release Trains are involved in the value stream. If we go back to the release tracker, you can see actually that we have some releases for a solution. This is interconnected with the value stream on the value stream level. And on the value stream level, we have, in this case, or in this project, 2 Agile Release Train in the program level. And on the program level, we have several releases which are coming from the team level. So this is the interconnection of releases, or let's say sub-releases and upper releases, and the upper releases with more upper releases. And this is the let's say, the so-called release and release mechanism. And with this release and release mechanism in Codebeamer, you can actually integrate, or let's say on a team level, you can interconnect the releases from software team. You can interconnect releases from the hardware team on the art as well. And then by providing the art progress, you can see the progress on the team level, either for the hardware team, for the software team, or any other team that's building your solution. All right. Do you have any more questions, either to me or to Mr. Michael Stump? Please address them. All right. So it seems like there are no more questions so far. So I would like to thank you for your attention. I would like to invite you to our next webinar titled Achieving Functional Safety in Safety Critical Embedded Systems on the 27th July at 4 p.m. CST as well. So thank you very much for attending to this webinar.
Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.